Hey guys, this is Timur from T-Tech, and today we're looking at the Xiaomi Mi 9T Pro. This is Xiaomi's flagship from last year, with the new Mi 10 and the Mi 10 Pro recently being released, having some crazy specs. It is easy to forget about the phone that paved the way for these beasts, especially now that those phones are out with a substantial price bump. The Mi 9 series has seen a price decrease on top of the already affordable price point. You can pick one up from Xiaomi for £399, or even cheaper if you're willing to wait and order it directly from China through sites like AliExpress. Considering how expensive phones have become, with even Samsung now pushing way past the £1,000 mark, the Mi 9 looks to be a great deal when it comes to price to performance. With all that being said, let's get into the video. First, let's unbox the phone, and then we'll jump into the specs and find out how good of a deal this phone really is. Opening up the box, we are greeted with a box inside the box. Underneath that, we can see the phone itself, where we'll be getting to it later. We can see the SIM ejection tool. Opening up the sleeve, we find the usual booklets, a user guide, and a warranty card. Moving on, we have the case that comes with the phone. It looks quite sleek, but it is very thin. I personally wouldn't trust this case with my phone, but for those of you who value form over function and aren't scared of taking risks, the case is quite well built and is a welcome departure from the generic silicone cases that are provided with almost all smartphones. We have a small Mi logo at the bottom. Apart from that, it is quite minimalistic. Taking a look at the phone itself, we see the 6.39-inch 1080p AMOLED screen. The left side of the device is clean, with no buttons, just the antenna band, which blends in nicely with the aluminium edge. At the back we have a triple camera setup with the flash at the bottom. We can see the 48 megapixel label proudly displayed next to the top camera. We will be talking about this when we run through the specs. At the bottom we have a Mi logo, with some unnecessary text, which takes away from the stealthy color scheme in my opinion. On the right hand side we have the volume rocker, and a red power button, which looks quite good with this color. Yes, that's correct, we have a headphone jack on this phone. It might be a rarity in 2020, but when this phone was released, even Samsung still had it in their phones. But now that even they have given into the no headphone jack hype, we'll find it harder and harder to find it on phones. We also have the microphone, and lastly the pop-up camera. At the bottom we find another microphone, a SIM tray that supports dual SIMs, a USB Type-C charging port, and lastly, a single down-firing speaker. Unfortunately, we have no dual speaker implementation, but nonetheless the audio should be adequate. Moving further down the box, we have the charging cable. There's nothing special about it, just a standard USB Type-A to Type-C cable. Lastly, we have the charger itself. This charging brick only supports 18-watt fast charging, but from what I've read online, the phone can do up to 27 watts with a compatible Quick Charge 4 charger. That's all we have in the box, so let's move on to the specs and the selling points of this phone. The number one selling point for me is the Snapdragon 855. This chip is still top 3 on the market when you look at the Qualcomm chips, barely beaten by the 855 Plus, which I wouldn't consider a meaningful upgrade from the Space chip. The new and improved 865 beats it hands down, no doubt, especially with the 5G implementation straight on the chip, but as seeing as how phones with that chip run for £600+, this is simply out of reach for many people. With all this considered, the Snapdragon 855 is more than adequate for the moderate user and will keep up with even the most intensive mobile gamers for at least a few years to come. Xiaomi also boasts special cooling with 8 layers of graphite, so the phone should run pretty cool. Number 2 selling point for me are the cameras. At this price, they are simply unbeatable. The only phone that comes to mind with better cameras is the Mi Note 10 with that insane 108 megapixel camera. But there is a huge sacrifice that has been made to achieve that at that price, which is the processor. The phone is rocking the Snapdragon 730, which is considerably lower powered than the 855. So taking all this into account, these cameras are a steal at this price. The phone has a 48 megapixel main camera, a 8 megapixel telephoto cam with 2x optical zoom, and lastly a 13 megapixel ultra-wide. This is the most versatile setup that you can get, and you won't be missing anything those £1,000 flagships have to offer. The last main selling point for me is the display. Sure, it's not 120Hz or Quad HD+, but it is still a crisp 1080p AMOLED screen with no annoying punch hole, or even worse, a notch. If you're like me and you consume a lot of content on your phone, then this should be a treat. Apart from that, we have a 20 megapixel selfie camera, which should provide detailed photos, considering the resolution. There's an in-screen fingerprint scanner. This phone also has NFC functionality for your contactless bank payments. It also has a 4000 mAh battery, and it comes in 6 64GB options all the way up to 8 to 256GB storage. You can get 3 different colorways. The one I have now, which is the carbon black, blue and red. The blue and red variants have this cool looking flame effect around the edges. All that being said, would I recommend this phone in 2020 for those looking for a budget flagship? Well, that's a definite yes. For the price, you can't do better than this. If you have a bit more budget, you can spring for the OnePlus 7T, which has arguably better specs, but the price hike and the notch are turn-offs for me personally. Stay tuned for the full review of this phone, and thank you for watching. This has been your host Timur. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to help the channel grow. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.